Yeah. Okay, yeah.
We can hear you, Leroy.
Can you hear me, dear?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, we're in. Yep. Hi.
How are you?
Good. I'm Matt. So we having is this a Park and Rec meeting tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, opposed to the third Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, I think we wanted to get one in
Right.
before the council meeting.
Okay. Yep. That's good. So we just want to run the format. Do I just consider the public comment section when we start there and go move right on through the agenda?
Yep, we'll treat it just like any other meeting, Leroy, and you'll just go through and keep us on track like normal.
All right. Feel free to hold your magic wand up.
Okay.
Tanya and Sean are sitting there. Good.
I'm
Yeah.
here. Hello.
Hey,
Hi, Sean.
everything's good on this end.
Oh, there's Leroy.
How you doing, Sean?
Good. How are you, Leroy?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear.
Nice picture you got behind you there.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm off on the river here.
Right?
Mountains back there too. So there it is there, way back there.
Oh, Joe's here. I think a guy can dream.
On a team meeting, I was at the beach earlier today. I put my background to beach, so I felt like I was in Kingsville.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, let's see here. When we get to anytime we reach the 6 o'clock hour, we're gonna just hold a meeting and all. How do you tell if everybody's here or who's here, who's in attendance? I'm not got to hit the right button, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to do a roll call, but it looks like the liaison from the council won't be at this meeting, so we'll have to designate somebody to take minutes.
Okay. All right.
Mary
Yeah.
takes minutes.
Do we hear that?
Mary Rieger takes minutes when,
Yeah, I can take minutes.
Do we have a copy of the minutes from the last meeting on the 19th of February?
Should be in the packet.
I didn't see them on mine, but we did.
Yeah, I didn't see him there. I just saw the agenda and the meeting.
Right.
No, actually, that was another note that Sarah gave me. The minutes, we won't have the minutes tonight, so when we do that part, you'll have to table it till the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Sounds good. All right, so you want to call this meeting to order, and we'll follow the agenda, I guess, of a pen and a public comment, and if for anything that's pre-submitted, go ahead. Do I hear a turkey in the background? Sounded like it. Is there anything submitted? Matt, do you have anything written from for public comment?
No, I don't believe we received anything in the office.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
Good. Good evening.
Okay, well then what we'll do is we'll, as we discussed earlier, we're gonna go ahead and table the approval of the meeting held in February until next meeting, as we don't have that available tonight. So I guess what we do is we'll go ahead and as the Park and Rec committee, we went ahead, we formed committees. We formed two of them. We have one for the splash park and one for the dog park. And they did go out, we did go out. So why don't we go ahead and, is somebody, who's there for Splash Park? John, you want, go ahead and give an update?
Yep, yep, I'm gonna give the update, although if I forget anything, I've already told Jill and Tanya that they can jump in and add to it. So basically, since the last time we've met, we've had about 3 meetings. And the first one was simply going down to see the location of where we thought the splash pad would be good to go. We saw where it had been marked out. And we discussed it, and we looked at the tennis courts on the same side of the road as where it had been marked out. So the 2 tennis courts that are by the playground, not the 3 that are across the road by the horses, but the 2 there. And we really thought that that would be the best footprint area for the splash park. And so that was our thinking there. And then we ended up having the Vortex representative come back for the second subcommittee meeting that we had. We had several audience members who were council members there so that we could all ask questions of her. And so that's what a lot of the first part of that subcommittee meeting was just talking to her and getting more questions answered. We'd done a little bit of research with 3 splash parks with Frankenmuth, Bay City, and Sandusky, see what issues they had, and so some questions came out of that for her. And then we moved on after we had those issues addressed to simply talk about possible pathway of moving forward. And we talked about how one of the comments from one of the places was just thinking about you might want more room and things than you think of, or you might want to add on eventually. So we talked to her about the idea of having an initial phase and then possible other phases where we added satellite features and things like that. So that was part of the discussion. But then we moved really into planning what we thought the splash park would look like with the features that they had and how big it would be. And we gave her something to work with so that she could go work with her design team and design a first phase look at what the splash park would look like. And she did get back with us within about 2 weeks with an actual proposal and plan based on the concepts that we had. A lot of our concepts centered around a dump bucket and then several like sea creature type animals. So that's what it was going to look like. And we gave her colors and things like that. So they did submit a proposal to us that we were just in the process of reviewing. And the committee was going to meet before the next meeting to see if we had any issues with it. The only thing that we did talk last night, that was when COVID-19 reared its ugly head and kind of everything came to a screeching halt. And so we weren't able to do much more than just look at it and just kind of wait and see. But we did get that. I don't know if that's been mailed to all the committee members for you to review at all. It would be
I think so.
possible that we could do that. That would be good. But it was about 64-page document, and it did lay out what the splash park would look like, and it also laid out what the price would be. So I don't know. Is that possible, Matt, to get to everybody, or?
Yeah, we can send out the link, and I also downloaded it as a PDF, so I can send that out to everybody.
Okay, because I think
And
that
also-
will be helpful for them to see.
Yeah, and if you want, I can share my screen and show the 3D mock-up of it.
That would be great. I have not shared a screen yet on a Zoom meeting, so I was afraid to even try to figure that out tonight.
Yeah,
I'm learning
so-
a lot through all of this, but I don't know if I could do that or not.
Yeah, here I'll share my screen, and I've got it pulled up here.
That would be terrific. We
That's
only had a couple color considerations when we looked at it. We looked at a splash park, and I was going to go up to Beaverton to look at theirs. You can see the bucket there, and this design is red. We were really struck by the blue bucket that's up in Beaverton. So we were going to go with a dark blue kind of bucket. So that was a change we talked about. We also wondered about adding some green to like the legs there instead of orange legs. Maybe having green legs, and maybe the arch in front having a green arch instead, possibly. But the primary colors you can see there are blue, orange, and red right now. And this is the nighttime version of it, because the other 3D mock-up has a lot of water. So this is more like what it would
Light.
look like with lights, because we did consider whether or not we should have lights, and we really thought the lights look really nicely. And it's something where if you're going to do it, you can't wait. It's got to be done when it's put in, because the lights are in the actual footing, the cement and things like that. So you can see the whale kind of back behind the archway. That's what that one thing is. So just instead of boring rings, it's actually a sea creature. You can also see to the other side that it's an octopus or squid coming out. There's a turtle in there somewhere. There's some fish squirters. There's a crab over there. So that's kind of a theme that we went with. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else. There's some daytime features. One thing you can see in the design too, I think on page like 14 or 15, it shows how one segment of it is a family version, a family kind of pod. It's kind of laid out in 3 different areas. There's a family section, a toddler section, and also a teen section. And so that's kind of what it's thought of. And then if we were to ever in the future, whether that be the city or whether it be like a Friends of the Caro splash pad, if we were to want to build more on, the idea would be to have some different satellite type things off of each of these spheres that would have more features on.
All right, great.
Did I
Yeah.
miss anything, Tanya and Jill?
I think you did great.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, just so you know, in there, it does tell what the final price tag is, which is important to know. That's on page 20. That's where it shows the final quote, which is $313,140.
Okay.
I did read somewhere last night that there was an amount that could get subtracted, and I can't remember why it could get subtracted, but it brought the final price down to $299. So at any rate, we're real close to 300,000.
Hmm.
Yeah, that price reduction is based on the nationwide bidding
Right.
organization that they would want us to join.
Yes. And it only makes sense to join that.
The rest of the 60 pages or so in the packet show, different materials that everything's made out of. Shows what the drain looks like and what those materials are, the water system. Then it gets into each feature and shows you what each feature is and how it works. So you know what kind of the rest of the proposal is all about. Took another look through it again last night to see all those kind of fun things. Technical
Alright.
stuff that isn't really, I'm more the design and flash part of it, not the design part of it,
Right.
or the
Yeah.
technical part.
So as far as information between the council and the subcommittee on the splash park, is this something that that Mr. Mayor Lewis, you can present to the committee or the council? How's that working? Matt?
Well, I think the general consensus is that the Park and Rec Committee would vote to make a recommendation to council. And
Mhm.
I think that's kind of what we're looking for. And Mr. Mayor can fill you in if that's if I'm off track. But I think that's what they're looking for, because they really want to move forward with it, and they're just looking for some direction on how to
Right.
proceed.
So as far as,
Yes,
go ahead,
that's,
Mr.
that's
Mayor.
correct.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
As a subcommittee member, that was what I was going to suggest that we do next, which was
Yeah.
figure out how to move this forward so council could act on it. That probably would be a motion, but I wanted to see if there was any other discussion or questions from the
I
other
do.
committee members who haven't dealt with this. Like we
I
have.
do have a question. Has our rep from Vortex mentioned at all? I mean, obviously we're putting this out to bid. It might not be Vortex that doesn't. They just gave us the proposal and we've kind of been using her as a source of information. Has she mentioned anything about how this whole coronavirus is inhibiting other cities that are trying to do the same thing as us from putting this in, as far as construction goes, and what states are and aren't allowing as far as allowing people to work on this? Are they allowing it to move forward? Does she have any insight? Did she mention anything? I don't think it should inhibit us from moving forward, but is there anything that she has seen
When-
that might help us.
I haven't had any more conversation and I don't know if anybody has since that meeting, but that meeting that we had with her was actually so far before any of this occurred that we didn't even think to ask it because it was about 3 weeks before this all came down. So I don't think any of us had it in our head that this was going to be an issue at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah, I did share some emails with her a couple weeks ago, and they're pretty. The company Vortex was at that time pretty much shut down because of the coronavirus. So they're not really at that time. They're not really doing anything, but we could certainly reach out and see if they're gearing back up because I don't think they would be considered essential under most definitions.
When Sean and Jill and I talked last night, we kind of talked like presenting it to the council and then not necessarily building it this year, but getting it started, maybe even getting the base, the guts of it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we definitely don't want to open it and then not be able to use it. That would be even worse, you know, but we don't want it to kind of stall either. So we thought maybe if we could at least get it in the works.
Yeah,
What
and I
do you
mean,
guys think?
I thought about it too a lot before we even met last night and things like that. And I was like, you know, I don't think we want to put this up until we're pretty close to when we can use it, but we don't want to stop it. So if there's a way to put the foundation in, but not the features, so that people don't see it and go, oh, we want to go use that and get upset and frustrated because we don't want to add to the frustrations and we don't want bad optics from the whole thing. But you know, we do want to keep it moving so that when it can get built and when it can start to be used, it's there and it can almost be like a, yay, we made it through.
Yeah.
So is there any recommendations that out of this conversation that we would see that would be immediate, or is that something that committee was going to meet and put together?
I think what we would say is, you know, if I was like formulating a motion, it would be to have the council move forward with this plan from Vortex as soon as Vortex is able to move forward with it. And if we've got to get a second bid, get a second bid so that, you know, if we need to look at it, you know, if it needs to come back to the committee can have a chance to look at that. But really, when I talk to other places, you know, these companies are not apples to apples. They all have different features and things like that. So it's going to be hard to see if another bid can come back with exactly the features that they have. Maybe they come back with something we like more, but I think that's the hard thing. They don't all have the same things.
Okay, so overall, it's like we'd encourage the council to move forward with that part of the park. That's basically it. Yeah. Any comments on that?
Yeah, they're construction and construction workers have gone back to work. So I don't know if it's this kind of construction that has gone back to work or just building construction that has gone back to work, but it's certainly something that we could check with Vortex about. And the other thing is, Sean did a ton of homework with the different splash pads in the area, and there isn't a splash pad in our area that used Vortex, and there isn't a splash pad in our area that's 100% happy with the route that they took.
Okay.
I think that because we can't compare apples to apples by putting bids out, the bucket that we're all so excited about is only available through Vortex. And I think that because we can't put a bid, bids out apples to apples, I think we just have to do diligence and pick a company that we all are comfortable going with and just go with it. Because like I said, Sean has done a ton of homework and he hasn't come up with a company that he likes the sounds of or the looks of any better. And these are the features that we want.
Okay.
I agree with what you were just saying.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we, so the
Joe?
consensus would be to move, to encourage the council to move forward with the discussions with Vortex as soon as they're able, right?
Yeah, it looks like the mayor wants to ask you
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Basically.
Correct.
All that I was going to add is that this pad is similar to the one in Alpena, and Alpena used Vortex, and they're very happy with Vortex and everything.
Right.
Oh, wonderful.
Alpena is similar to the size and everything.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
And I got the price list of Alpenas too, what it all costs them.
Did they have the bucket?
Yes.
They do. You can actually, on our subcommittee thing, I put pictures. There are ways you can actually see the Alpena splash pad. They've got a picture of it on their Parks and Rec someplace, and Beaverton does as well. So you can see both of those splash pads. I was about to drive up to Beaverton when this all came down because I wanted to see theirs physically. But I didn't
That's why,
quite make the trip.
that's why I drove up there when there was foot of snow on the ground.
Yeah. Right.
I showed our committee all kinds of pictures of splash pads with snow. I
Right.
took pictures of Frankenmuth and Bay City State Park. It all had snow on it. So
So is there anything at this point, Sean, that you see that would that be in addition to any recommendations besides just start the communications with the Vortex company or as proceeded?
yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that hopefully, you know, the committee, you know, it's got to be voted on because I know not everybody necessarily is for the, you know, idea of a splash pad, but hopefully enough are. But the thing would be to move forward, get it out of our committee, say to the council that we think it's a good idea and that we like Vortex, we like this plan, and that we've helped to create the plan and it's what we think as a committee would go well in our community. So I think that's where we're at. I don't think there's anything else. And then,
Alright.
you know, if there has to be more consideration that, you know, we fulfill our role as an advisory thing by if something happens and there needs to be looked at second bids or whatever, that we get a chance to help the council with that and fulfill the advisory nature of our
Alright.
roles.
Can we act on that tonight then? Just make do we have the consensus to do that? Oh, there he is.
Can I, second?
Hi, Jeff.
I know I'm outvoted. I'm not going to waste everybody's time with it beating the dead horse. But just a quick clarification on those cost estimates. It looked like the number was coming in around 300, give or take, depending on whatever bulk discount program. But like I wasn't able to digest all of that. Is that like a turnkey cost? It looked like there were some city responsibilities that go along with that. And do we have any estimate as to what the city's responsibilities will cost on top of that, if any?
City's
Most likely our
responsibility.
responsibility. Yep, Mr. Mayor.
From my understanding, we have to get a well, I forgot what they said, a 3-inch or a 4-inch water main to their site for hookup. That's the city's cost, plus our city's cost would be the demoing of the tennis courts and stuff. And the other thing would be probably power, had to get power to it.
Do we have any estimate as to what that means?
No. See, our city crews can do the demo and get the water main to the site. Our city's crews can do that.
Right.
And the electrician has to bring the power in.
Okay, and the city crews have sufficient time to do that? It's not like we need to hire additional labor?
Yes, as long as it's not a rush job, you know.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to plan it out far enough in advance so that we can plan it out with everything else we have going on over the summer. But it doesn't take a whole lot for them to run some pipe underground, do some demo.
Okay, thank you.
One thing we did talk about when we were down there looking at the tennis courts and whether this is a feature we wanted to leave and whether they could even fit in. We did talk about one advantage of the tennis court area is there are those big lights there. And, you know, if you ever did, the lights that are going to be on it at night would not be sufficient, the ones that illuminate it from the company to do anything at night. But the idea would be maybe leave those lights that were the tennis court lights and maybe you could somehow use it. I don't know. That's just a out there kind of thing that we threw out when we were doing that subcommittee meeting down there looking at the tennis court.
And then that goes to how long you want to
Hello?
keep it open in the evening and stuff too.
Right.
You know,
Right, yeah,
it depends on your timetable you want to use it for.
Yeah.
Because in
Okay.
the summertime, it stays light till about 10,
Right.
after 10 o'clock roughly.
And then the question is, do those floodlights destroy the effect of the lights that we've put into the splash pad?
what I would say is if you were to do it, there'll be nights that you leave it open, and you just display the lights, or, well, you don't have people playing, but if you've got kids running around, one of the things we talked about with her that night was that the lights that are there that are just for making it pretty would not be safe for them to actually be on the
Right.
pad and stuff
Oh,
like that. So the floodlights would be only if you wanted to maybe say, okay, tonight's a special night and we're gonna turn the floodlights on so you can play on the splash part after dark or when it's twilight and it's dark. And you don't have to leave them. It's just something,
It could be an
but-
event.
yeah, exactly. A special, monthly event or something, and maybe you do something where, you create some revenue, you sell some hot dogs or something like that. Or you show movies like we talked about before, but you have the
Be a
splash park open.
fundraiser for benches or.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
talked about maybe later on down the road, getting some type of a locker room where,
Yeah.
people could change clothes and, have a rinse, something to rinse off or, whatever, but.
And the floodlights could be wired so they're not always available and on and stuff, only turned on when
And
we
this
want.
is all the same company that you guys felt was pretty strong? The Vortex company offers a lot of what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who put the
Right.
plan together. The floodlights are already there. That's just ours
Okay,
if we were to do it.
all right. Well, I think that the Splash Park Committee, that's a lot of information. And of course, a major project. So I guess at this point, is there somebody want to take a motion to just put that together and just forward that on to the council? As far as your feelings and desires about moving forward?
I am happy to do it if the subcommittee kind of
More
quasi
questions?
chairperson can do it,
Okay.
but if it needs to be somebody else, then so be it. I don't know if there's any kind of rule of order of that.
Yeah, would that Splash Park Committee, subcommittee feel okay with moving forward with that tonight?
Oh,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah.
what we're open for.
Okay,
Right.
well, then let's put that motion out there. Sue?
All right.
Okay.
Or Jill? Sean?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm.
You
I'll
can do it,
make the
Tony. Cool.
motion.
That's
I
fine
think
with me.
Any one of us would make the motion.
Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I'll let Tanya do it. She'll be more succinct than me. I'd ramble on. We all
Okay.
know how my motions go.
Tanya?
They're way
Well-
too long and complicated.
Okay, so I feel that we should move forward with presenting to the city council that we would prefer that Vortex be our company of choice and that we move forward, to our ability with the whole COVID to proceed with the Vortex splash pad, as soon as possible.
Okay, Tanya's got the motion on the floor to recommend to the council to proceed with those such arrangements. All in favor? Signal by aye or,
You gotta get a second, I think.
Yeah.
Second.
and second? Who's the second that motion? Yeah, somebody want to second it? Jill?
Jill
I'll do
did.
it.
All
Yeah,
right. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. No opposed? All right, great. Any more discussion on that splash park?
Sorry to throw this wrench in there. We need to do a roll call
Roll
vote.
call.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's begin. I guess I don't have a list in front of me, but I don't know where we are at it, So who is missing?
If you can
Who's
see
not?
the names of everybody, you can
Right.
just kind of call them.
Yeah. I'm sure Sarah must have sent notice to everybody and those that couldn't make it maybe responded or not sure.
Well, I think it just needs to be a majority of who's here, right? I mean, we have more than enough for,
We have the quorum.
yes.
Can you see the pictures on the screen, Leroy?
Pardon?
Can you see the pictures of the people on the screen?
Yeah, I got the display, but I don't know how many. I don't know if I'm seeing them all. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, either way, I guess what we do is is there a way to get the information that everybody that was present tonight signs in? Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Mary, do you want to call it since you're taking notes? You want to
Well,
call the roll, Mary?
I'm
Yeah.
taking notes. I'm taking notes.
Mary, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, I can do it.
yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jill White,
Yes.
Leroy Hayward,
Yes. Yes,
yeah, Jeff,
I'm present. Leroy's here.
Sean,
Aye. Yes.
Tanya,
Yes.
Sue Ellen.
Yes.
And then we have Mayor Joe Green.
That's why I don't vote.
Okay, and then we have city manager here, Don Hall with us as well, and then John Ecken here, I can see in the participants. We are missing Chris. And I don't have the committee list in front of me. Is there anyone else we're missing?
Mobley was here shortly, a little bit ago. Jeff was. but-
Yeah, I'm
Jeff,
still here.
here.
Matt, can you clarify, were you looking for yays or nays on the motion specifically?
Yeah.
That was meant for the motion to do a roll call on that, just of the members present on the committee. Yeah.
No, so I guess we had roll calls been taken, and I got the listed down who wasn't there. I know that, so, all righty. Let's move on. Who wants to, the dog park committee report? Go ahead, Sue or Jill.
So Leroy, we need to say that that motion passed, correct?
I thought it did, but
Okay, yeah,
we
it
didn't have
did. I
none
just,
opposed, so that motion has been approved and will be forwarded to the council.
okay, perfect,
All right.
perfect.
Thank you, Jill.
Yes.
All right, now where we at here? We're gonna go to the dog park committee report. So who's here that took part in that? Was Sue, and I myself was at the dog park.
I think Mary's also on the dog park.
Mary, are you on the dog park?
Yeah, I just wasn't able to attend because I had a wedding
Right.
that day.
Well, we went down to Beef Park. We started at Beef Park where they had put stakes in the ground. And my understanding is that most of the committee members felt that that was a pretty confined area. Would, in the long run, wouldn't be appropriate. And so we went out to Chippewa Landing. And there's where we felt strongly about the dog park at the west end of the hill. There's an area, grassy knoll, so to speak. So, so anyway, that's we felt strongly about that Chippewa Landing being that park because it offered a little more, distance between your people, patrons in the park and your animals. And in the sense Chippewa is connected to the park systems, there's a way to be there. I thought that'd be the most appropriate. That's what I got out of the committee for the dog park. Any discussion?
Yeah, although I wasn't there, Sue Ellen did give me a call to fill me in on it, and I think it's a great idea to move it out there. I think it's more accessible, gets people out to different parks, and it's pretty well connected to the rest of the trail systems that I see people using all the time.
I mean, is as far as Chippewa accessible?
Yeah,
Right.
I
Well,
think the mayor has prices for us, don't you, Joe? You have prices?
Okay, yes, I did some research just on 150 by 200 feet, one with a 12 by 12 entryway. That's another small area inside of the big area where you come in and then go to the big area. If you go with just a 4-foot high galvanized steel fencing, just the materials would be about $3,800. If you go to the black coated one, it jumps to about 6,000. Then we talked about going possibly a 5-foot high fence. If you go with 5-foot high, it jumps to just the materials about about $7,500 for the materials.
Or
Then,
fine black coat, Mr. Mayor.
then one company out of Bad Axe gave us a quote to build it, and that came in, I think, around 13,000. There's another one out of Bay City. They want to come out and look at the site before they give a quote. Then Matt Kirk says, yes, the price of material is one thing, but he would give a quote on the labor, but he could not do it until August or end of August. So it depends how we want to get a couple more quotes, but I feel it's a doable project. If the committee wants to recommend to the council to move forward, you know.
What fencing were you considering? What type of fencing?
Oh, the one is a normal galvanized. The other one is a black. It's a black chain link fence, but it's black powder coated. You know, it's
Okay,
black.
right.
in color.
So Joe, did you, when you asked them, because the galvanized, after a while, doesn't that rust? Would the black not rust?
I didn't ask them that, but the black looks a lot more pleasant.
That's what I'm thinking. And
But-
actually, I've used the guy out of Bad Axe. He's an amazing guy. He did a
But the
beautiful
question
job.
is if you want to go 4-foot high or 5-foot high. You know,
Mr. Mayor,
Anybody give an advantage to one over the other?
like what?
Why would we go 5 foot instead of 4 feet?
Oh,
Mike
Well, the-
Carpenter said out at the ball field, I talked to him for some advice. He said 5-foot high fence, kids don't jump over. 4-foot high fence, kids jump over.
Right.
That's the only advantage. Dogs won't jump over a 4-foot high fence. Most dogs, let's say.
I have a dog that would jump over a 4-foot fence.
Yeah,
Will the deer jump over a 5 foot?
deer.
Deer.
Oh, yeah.
was
Yeah.
the 5-foot fence that you had got quoted at 7,500, Mr. Mayor, was that also black coated? Or was that the galvanized? Okay,
Yes, but that was just a material.
right, not the labor. Okay,
well, I think overall, I think that using a chain link type of fencing with, you may consider having a drive-through gate in case you need to take a vehicle in, or, you know, and a walk-through gate, any cement, or, but, you know, any covering that you may shade or so to speak. But I mean, outside of that, it's not an overly complicated project, I don't think. Any comment?
I just have 2 quick questions. Are you looking at just a square layout and all dogs would be in the one square? Is that
Yes,
kind of what the
right
concept is?
now.
Okay.
Some of them divide it into a
Right.
section.
Yeah,
There you go.
because when I was out looking at water parks, there were dog parks nearby. So I said, why not go look at the dog parks too? And Bay City has like an L formation in theirs where
Yes,
little dogs go in one side and big dogs go in another side. And that would, of course,
Mm.
affect
Oh.
your fencing.
Let's
for
let's go
inside.
back over that Chippewa spot. How does everyone feel about that spot? Comments on that Chippewa spot for the dog park?
I am good with it. My only thing is I hope it doesn't turn into an either or as far as the sled hill. I know there's the one side to the east, which is the steeper grade. It would be good if
Mhm.
the dog park can be far enough back so that the west side still can be used for the less steep grade for it. And I think there's plenty of room. It's just a matter of making sure the fence that's at the end by the thing is not too far down, so sledding can still happen on both sides. That's
my
mine.
opinion was, that's the sunny side of the hill and the snow doesn't stay there that long. We could block that side off for sledding and
See, when I went down there with kids and I had kids kindergarten through 6th grade, that was the kindergarten side. The other side was for older kids. And
All right.
so when snow was there, those kids could use that side. So, and I've seen it bear on both. That's just my opinion, is that
It's a good thought, Sean. I think it needs to be talked about. Those are things that need to be considered. And I think that they could organize some and make some partition, do some signage, some maybe some simple things to separate. I don't know how much business the Chippewa Park hasn't seen a whole lot of action since the water level went down. But let's one more comment. The Pacific Park, the Chippewa Landing Park, that's where I feel strongly about recommending that the dog park continues. That's where I'm headed right now. Any more discussion on that specific place for the dog park? No? Okay. Well,
think we're
I'm
all in
thinking,
agreement.
go ahead.
I think we all agree that that's the best location.
I'm good with the location. I just want to
oh, you cut out.
the sledding. I think we do need to be mindful of the sledders and using all portions, because there are varying levels of steepness that are appropriate for different ages. So I think that was a good point. And on another note with the dog park, are we looking at any sort of features within it, or are we basically just putting up fencing?
Well, go ahead, anybody?
my opinion is if we get the fencing up and get it, and then the people with dogs can start recommending features they would like to see and stuff. I've seen
Right.
some of the dog parks that they just have a couple picnic tables inside of it. Some have benches, some have other features,
Right.
The
Build
main
the
thing
park and
is-
they will come, right?
Main thing is the fencing to get it
Right.
started.
Right.
In that 12 by 12 area, I've seen most of them, they have that concrete pad there because that gets a lot of travel in and out.
Well, the good thing about the dog park is that, I mean, outside of the initial cost, the maintenance, that's pretty much it, the fencing and creating that place. So if the interest goes down, you really aren't out a whole lot, but that, that's the area. So it's a project, maybe patrons will come and maybe we can build on that and look at, additional things to throw in there. But I think that we could probably move forward with making a recommendation that would basically say that we think that the Chippewa Landing Park is the best spot for the dog park. Anybody agree or disagree with that? Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is, like, Sue, Jill, or part of that committee, would you like to make a recommendation that
I-
says that?
Yes, I would like to recommend that we go forward with the dog park to be at Chippewa Landing, and we present it to the board or to the council tomorrow.
Can we have a second on that? Anybody?
I second.
John has seconded that. Thank you, Sue and Sean. All in favor, signify aye.
You need a roll call.
Do
vote.
roll call again, Leroy.
I can't hear
Mary, will
you.
you do the roll call vote?
Yeah, Mary, you want to try that? All
I
right,
can do that.
go ahead.
Jill White,
Yes.
Tanya,
Yes.
Sue Ellen,
Yes,
Sean,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Leroy,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Any opposed on there? Anybody here to oppose it? No? All right. So then that's our recommendation. That should go to the council.
So
So
do
we
we,
have.
can
Mhm.
I say one thing though? Do we,
Yes, go ahead.
do we want to recommend a height, and like, do we want to do the black? I mean, should we do some recommendations as far as what we want to do, other than just to proceed with it there?
Yeah, well, if anything, any consideration of purchasing, I would say that part should be done, right? Yes. I think the 5 foot, I like the 5 foot, and I'm not sure about the coating. I say that chain link is a good investment any way you do go about it with the fencing. Mine never rust. You can buy a partition, you can weave it so that you can put non-see-through areas or kind of eliminate. Pretty much that's where I'm at. Any other discussion?
Well, my thoughts on the height, I'm not educated on this stuff at all, but if if 4 foot is enough to contain the dogs, I don't know why we care about going any higher.
Higher than what's that?
And 4 foot.
Yeah, I don't
4
know.
foot. Well, I
Sean?
don't know. I guess that 1 foot is either, could be maybe, has anybody considered maybe an insurance issue with these parks that would they recommend 5 feet? I don't know. That's I think
Sean
that
and
we should,
Joe, when you've been to the dog parks, are most of them 4 foot or are they 5 foot?
yeah, I'm not sure.
It varies. It varies, 4 or 5 foot.
I
What
didn't pay
about
attention. I didn't really look. I mean, I couldn't eye it and go 4 versus 5, so
Okay.
I can't help it.
maybe we should get the local people that where we submit our work orders to give us a background, approve something like that too. I'm not sure, Matt. I mean, we're putting up a fence. Is that something that we needs to be looked at as far as being specific with any insurance provider or anything?
I don't necessarily think so. We could certainly look into it a little bit. I think it's just a design choice in terms of, do you have big dogs that can jump over the fence? I don't know the answer to that question, but
Yeah,
it's just
right.
a choice on design and what we're willing to pay for.
I think 5 foot would be that. I've seen the dogs. I know dogs that can jump over that. And go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
See, most of your fencing around any residence in town is 4 feet. Most backyards are fenced for 4 4-foot fence.
Correct.
If they have chain link fence,
Right, but this is a dog park, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure what that means. But, but I guess that's why I'm just talking about it. I guess the 5 foot is just maybe a safety thing, or hands being reached over. I mean, just because you got a fence, and what if an ugly dog comes to that fence and there's a child on the other side and they were reaching over? I don't know. That's one of the situations, that we're there for. So it's a matter of a foot that we're talking about, right?
And Joe, what was the difference in the price between the 4 foot and the 5 foot? Do you remember?
For the black, it wasn't that much. It's $1,000 or something, or $1,500. It's not a great increase in price.
My preference would be to say we go with whatever we can afford to have it be black. That after seeing what's at the school on Franklin
Yeah.
Street,
That's
That
what I was
was
saying.
so nice. I think
Well-
we should plan on going black with what we can afford.
Does the council feel, is there a need to be purchasing that fence within the next month? Is there? Anybody?
We need to get it started. We need to get going.
The game
Yeah.
plan would be to get it, if we could, get out of this year's budget, right, Matt?
Right.
If we could
Right.
do it
When,
out of this
and when,
year's
when's
budget.
the deadline? Deadline
Yeah,
on that?
if we can swing it, we can probably get it done in June.
Okay.
Depending on the contractor.
Well, then I would recommend that the committee go ahead and make plans for the dog park to meet. And so that we can, air out any additional things. Would that be it? Something that I think that would be appropriate, Mr. Mayor?
Honestly, I
Yes.
think you just need to make a decision. I think we need to say, is it going to be black or is it going to be, I think black, and then just decide if it's going to be 4 foot or 5 foot and vote on it.
All
I
right.
agree.
It's,
You-
you could
well-
rehash, everybody's got a different opinion, but
Right.
Well,
I've
was
never
that
seen
your
it black.
motion, Tanya?
Pardon?
Tanya, is that your motion?
it is my
No,
motion. I'm going to
We
say,
already did our motion.
Black and 5 feet.
I don't think it's safe to move forward on anything. I think we got time to talk about a couple things. if, ordering something in June, I think the fencing is pretty much can be done. I mean, I just don't see it as being complicated but the budget money, if we can get it in under that and get the bidding process done, then we need to do that. Right.
I think our issue isn't that the fencing is easy to put in. I think we all know that. I think the issue is jumping through all the hoops. And if we start now, we've got more time to jump through all the hoops to make it into this year's budget instead of messing around with it and deciding on something so immaterial later.
Well, then do we want to go ahead and agree upon something? I mean, we're talking 4 and 5 foot. What's everybody feel about that?
I think Tanya just made a motion to have it be 5 feet tall and black.
I didn't know she did that, but
This
yeah,
is
she
my
did
thought.
say
I
she
guess,
feels strong at 4 foot.
well, I think if you're going to err on the side of caution, then 5 foot's probably a better possibility. If there's not a lot of difference in the price, then I would do the 5 foot.
See, that's
Settle
what I'm
out and
thinking.
dogs in.
I second that, Tanya.
All right, so we're ready to make that so that could be done. Okay, so Tanya has formally made a motion, right? As far as to go ahead with the 5 foot on the chain link fence. And do I hear a powder coated black or what?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and so let's go ahead and put that in with the motion. Is that strongly felt about the powder black? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anybody second that?
Yes.
Already happened.
Jill, you second that? Okay.
Sue Ellen did.
So
Llewellyn.
let's go with the roll call on the vote.
Yep. All right,
All in
Jill.
favor?
Yes.
Tanya,
Yes.
Sue Ellen,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Jeff,
I don't know if I agree on the details, so I'll just abstain.
okay.
Okay.
Leroy,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Okay. That shows those in favor, and we have 1 sustained vote. And that'll go ahead and can take them, just talk to the council. We'll send that forward. Any other items that people that is in front of us? Dog committee members, we can get together and get a meet anyway. Okay, we could do that. I'll send you a text. Okay, yeah, I'll look at my schedule a little better for that. Any other business or comments?
Yeah, Leroy, I do have one other thing that I wanted to bring up. The music in the park at Atwood Park Thursday evenings. And actually, John Ecken is with us. He is one of the organizers of that. He gets the bands together. The question is out there right now with COVID-19 is what do we think the approach should be to music in the park this year? Should we postpone it until June? Should we go ahead with as normal, or should we cancel? I guess we're just kind of looking for some input from the Park and Rec folks on what we think needs to happen, and if it's okay with the committee, Mr. Ecken could talk if he has something he wants to say.
When does the first one start again?
You know what? I'm not sure.
Usually they start the first Thursday after the Memorial Day holiday. And John can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but they run Thursdays, Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Yeah, I think it's
How
the
I
first
knew it.
week in June. John there?
Yes.
Hi, John.
Hi, Leroy.
Hi, John.
It's the
Yeah,
first.
is it the first week? Go ahead, John.
It's the first Thursday in June, and we have everybody scheduled, but I told everyone that we wouldn't. They got to be just on standby right now because we have no idea whether it would go forward.
I would say that it probably just follow what the governor is, kind of the whole thing there. And we're still a couple weeks out of the first. So
yeah,
I guess what do you think? I say let's go ahead and plan it with the idea that you can always reschedule that first week. Because isn't Dan Bristol playing the first week, John?
Oh, no, I think he plays the third week. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't have.
Well, what do you think, John, about moving forward.
I think we could do it.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
we could, you know, all the players up there could be 6 foot apart or more, and then we just have to tell the people that they have to conform to the rules, you know, of 6 foot or more.
all right. Well, I say we go ahead with what's scheduled. Any comment?
Okay.
Can you guys give me an idea? I've been to a few of the musical parks, but do we have any estimates of the typical attendance? I would guess probably 50 or so from the ones.
The
I'm going
numbers,
to say more than that because I've donated at Carnations a couple times, you know, and I asked Kim Wasick, you know, I'm thinking it's probably more like 100.
I think
Yeah.
it can depend on the night and the weather
Right.
and
Yes,
what the weather's
exactly.
doing.
the first one usually only has about 60 people there.
I mean, I hate to see it be canceled because it's something that somebody can do, but we got to keep our people safe. So, I mean, if we could social distance, then I don't see a problem. I mean, what do you guys think?
I did visit with Kim today about it,
Uh-huh.
and she said that they would not be asking for donations this year from businesses to give to the attendees of the concerts. So there would be no hand-to-hand contact from anybody, you know, none of the musicians or none of the organizers or anything. It would just be the people performing would be on the stage performing, and the people would either be sitting with who they come with or they would be sitting by themselves, and social distancing would be no problem. And she said that the a cappella singers and the Carroll High School were scheduled to be the first event. And because of the school closing and all of that, that one has been canceled. But her thought was to move forward with them and, you know, just be sensible.
Right.
Now, this isn't going to affect us as far as the governor is concerned, would it be if we have more than 50 people?
That's what I was gonna ask. Have we moved past the, you can't have 10 people together rule yet?
Well,
Not
well,
yet.
I think that's only for confined spaces at the moment, right?
Right.
Or
Not
am
sure.
I
I wasn't
mistaken?
I
sure.
think that's right too.
No, no, outdoor events. It's like, you know, Pine Knob or, you know, DP Energy, whatever, like amphitheater, even outdoor events are shut down now.
Right.
That's going to loosen, but will it loosen enough for a 100-person event? Maybe at the end of the season if we
Do
don't
they have 100 people at the Capitol tomorrow?
Uh,
There's a lot of debate over all that.
yeah.
We don't
So, yeah,
allow guns in the park either.
right. My thought is if we can get a social distance program out there in advance of these, then maybe it's not such a bad idea to keep it going. Or if we get closer and things start tightening up again, we can always move them back, you know, based on what we learned the week before.
Right.
Correct. I like that. I agree with Matt. I like that. Any more discussion on that? John, you feel comfortable with that? Are you there?
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I'll inform the players that we're gonna go with it unless
I would hope by now people have common sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, that's fine with me.
okay then. Any more? I don't know if we need to take any. I think we can let that just go and remain. But John, good job on that music. Always.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Joe.
All I got a comment is check over the parks and stuff. And if you have recommendations, if you see something that needs fixing,
Oh, I know something.
get with Matt and stuff, and we can try and address it throughout the year, you know.
Mhm.
We don't know how our summer help, our part-time summer help is going to work this summer, if we're going to have any or not, you know. So, well, at least if we make can start compiling a list of things that need to be done. You know, like that walkway now has a section that a tree took out, and like that walkway on 24 should be sealed and stuff like that, you know. And need a wood preservative on it and stuff, and some fencing. And I know the crew's been working on picnic tables and stuff like that, you know. They've been trying to do some stuff. Right, Matt?
Yeah, actually, after our first park and rec meeting together, my first one, I went back and I talked to Jeff about the picnic tables, because I know we had talked about replacing them over time. And we came up with the idea of just bringing them all in and rehabbing them to save a little bit of money up front. So they actually brought in all the picnic tables and fixed all the broken ones, repainted them and put them back. So all the picnic tables in the parks right now should be rehabbed and useful to the community. So that's something that we've done. And next week we have scheduled to fix the railing on the walking path on M24 just by Chippewa Landing. So that's going to be fixed very soon. So we've been picking up the garbage and stuff in the parks, but you know, the parks right now are technically closed for all intents and purposes, except for walking and running and things like that. So we've been trying to make sure that garbage is emptied and that the area is cleaned up as much as we can.
I do have one comment. You know how you get bored, and so Bob and I, we went to Wendy's, we grabbed something to eat, and we sat at the fairgrounds. Right outside the grandstands is a telephone pole, and it's propped up with a board right now. But I mean, it looks like if a strong wind, it could blow over any day, and it's going to pull the electrical off the merchant buildings. I don't know if anybody said that to you, Matt. It's somebody's put a 2x4 up there, but it's definitely not going to hold.
Okay.
And I don't know,
We'll
I
have
don't
to
know
get
who's in
with
charge of
DTE.
that.
Yeah.
We could check if it's our job or if it's the fair boards.
Yeah, I don't know whose it is, but it's bad.
Okay. Well, thank
Is
you.
it a light pole or is it like a
It's
Like a
it's got power running to it, and
okay.
it's standing on an end, and then there's like a 2x4 holding it. But I mean, the day we were down there, it was really windy. I'm thinking any day that's gonna, you know, you get it, especially now, once we get some high winds, it's gonna come down. It's gonna rip the power off a couple buildings.
I can
Yeah.
contact someone on the fair board just to give them a heads up to go take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll have our DPW look at it first thing in the morning and see what it looks like and what the responsibility is. And if it's like a power pole, it might be something DTE has to get involved with. If it's something that we
Yeah,
own, we can
I'm not really sure who
figure it out.
owns
But
it.
we'll work together to figure it out.
Another
Matt, do we planning on having a day where everybody can bring their things down to throw away down to the park that was canceled? Is that something that we may reschedule?
Possibly. We're waiting to hear back from Mterra on when they want to do that. They haven't given us a date as of yet. They just told us that they want us to postpone it. So we're waiting to hear back from them on when they think that they can have that take place.
All right, great.
I do have
John.
another
Yeah.
couple, two more comments. I'm sorry. Number 2 on my comment was, you know how there's graffiti on that new building at the Fair Board. My painter gave me some stuff to take it off. I didn't know if that would be something I should do or give it to the DPW. It's a professional stuff for graffiti. It would take it off that new building that somebody sprayed blue paint all over.
Yeah, I talked to Neil Jackson earlier this week from the Fair Board, and they're actually going to have it taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Third
Right.
is my dumpster. They are not dumping it. In fact, actually several dumpsters they're not dumping. You know, I share one with the post office, and they'll dump it on Monday and Wednesday, but not on Friday. And it's an issue. Every weekend it's piled, and this weekend it was piled on the post office, put stuff all on the ground around it, and then some animal tore it open. So it was kind of a mess. So I think if our options are only 2 times, it should be Monday and Friday rather than Monday and Wednesday.
Is that a parks thing?
No, but I'm just telling Matt.
You gotta get it in when you can get it in, Sean.
Yeah,
I have
it
two
was a
things.
mess last week.
two things really quick, and I promise to be short. One on the agenda, I think I saw that the recreational program subcommittee meeting was there, and so I think that was one that I had kind of talked about. And I know Jeff and I had worked on the thing where we were going to have an event for recruiting, a kind of a day for daycares down there, and also a recruitment night for people like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H, athletics, and stuff like that. Right now, we haven't moved too far forward. We've had some committee talk a little bit on that project that we should start thinking about talking to people who might want to be at that. So I wanted to give you that update. And then the other thing we talked about doing was sending flyers home with all the recreation programs that were going on in the summer. But I think everybody probably is at the point where nobody knows what they're going to do with rec programs. And I just heard on the news before I got on this that Saginaw has canceled all their face-to-face rec. It's all going to be virtual rec this summer. So virtual fishing, different things like that. So it leads me into my second thing I was going to talk about was trying to think about programs, because it's great that tonight we talked about a lot of projects, but part of Park and Rec needs to be programming too, in my opinion. And so one thing that I've been thinking about, I mentioned it to Matt, and he talked about the Irish Spirit 2020 group, which I'm now on, and things like that. But something I've seen other communities do that I might be willing to spearhead a little bit and put it under Parks and Rec. And if anybody wants to help me, they've done kind of, and I don't know, maybe this has happened in Carroll. I just didn't hear about it, but I know in Vassar, they had like a teddy bear hunt where people put teddy bears in their front windows and families could walk around and find teddy bears. So what I'm proposing is kind of a stuffed animal safari in Carroll, where you list the houses that people have put stuffed animals in and what they are. And that will hopefully get families out walking a little bit, going out into their community and seeing things. So I don't know. I wanted to get the committee's opinion on that and see if
Okay.
committee members would help to promote that with
Right.
people in Carroll. So has anything happened in Carroll like that yet during this that
Right.
anybody knows about?
Teddy bears in people's windows, but I don't know if there's anything organized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's not a Trumpy bear, but you know.
Well, I wouldn't even say teddy bears. I'd say whatever stuffed animal you have. People could email me that they've got it, and then you put together a list of all the addresses that has something, and you say what the stuffed animal is, and you put it up on the Virus 2020, put
Right.
it up on the Macomb Facebook, you put it up on the city's Facebook, and you just give people a place to see where they are, because to go randomly looking around town, you may not know where to even begin looking and who's doing it. And
Right.
other people might not even know to do it. So,
Well, I think that, Sean, you're right when it comes to maybe funding or finding different ways to inspire. Those are the things, some of the activities I think creative activities need to be thought about. So any further discussion, Joe?
Yes, I like your idea, and we even could make it into a contest, because from the Easter egg hunt that never happened, Walmart gave us a $50 gift card to buy a bike. We could, if people did so many, they could get into a drawing for a bike or something
Yeah.
like that,
that
because
sounds cool.
they gave us a donation towards a bike, and
Yeah.
since that didn't happen, we still have the gift card or to buy something from Walmart with it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody want to work with me on it?
Yeah, I like it. I'm with you, Sean.
I'm with you.
Okay. So I see a Zoom meeting in the future about a
Okay.
safari hunt and how we can work the bike into it and stuff. And we can certainly get you the invite to Mr. Mayor so that you can help us think
Okay.
about the prizes for it and things.
Okay.
I got a flower shop full. And
I didn't
access to lots.
I missed that. Sorry. What was that, Jeff? Jeff, did you make a motion?
No, I think Tanya said something.
Okay. Oh, Tanya?
Yeah, I was just saying that if we needed prizes or whatever, I have access to lots of stuff. I would have no problem donating.
Okay.
All right.
Any further
animals.
comments? Go ahead. Anybody? All right. So listen, now that we got come near to the end of the meeting, do we schedule up a next rec meeting as far as the third Wednesday in the next month, and we'll go ahead and do that, which would be what? What is that date? Let me see, I get trying to get in my phone here.
I'm looking too.
June 17th.
That's the 17th of June,
Correct.
and that'd be our next scheduled Park and Recs meeting. However, I would get with the dog committee people so we could meet. Tanya, do you have a preferred way to contact you? Your email work?
Yeah, I have an email.
How would you like to be contacted though? But
Yeah, email
me.
fine, or text. I'm fine with either.
oh yeah, I know you would be there, but if I was to contact you, how would I do that?
Either text or email, I said would be okay.
Text, okay. All righty, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Joe,
I got,
go ahead,
I
Joe.
got another comment.
Uh-huh.
It's sort of about Parks and Recs, but this is just, I just got this in from Mike Carpenter. What is the status of filling in the gully at the fairgrounds? Does the city want the dirt off of Elmer?
Yeah.
What is it that he-
Valley filled in?
Yes.
Wh-
Yeah.
Which part of the gully are you talking about? Just the part behind
Part that's all grass we were talking about.
the
bringing that up.
merchants? Or are you talking about in the whole Beef Park area?
In the Beef Park area, I think. See, because in the other part, we would have to buy tubing first for it. That's all, the other part is already tubed. Before we talked about it and to say, I know the council, we got a quote. If we bought all the dirt and stuff, it'd be about $70,000 to fill that all in.
I say fill it in with, absolutely, why not?
Well, as a disc golf person, I like that hole the way it is. So, because there's no other place where there is a spot where there's vertical challenge to shoot uphill. So I'm just going to say
Okay.
that was why I was always never for doing that. So, because I don't see why there needs to be a flat there, and that gully has always been there. So that's just my opinion. I'm not really for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm probably.
We don't know how much dirt he's talking about either. We could check that out too, if it just fill part or all or what,
Okay.
you know.
I know that other part, we have to put a tube in before we can fill it. But the part that needs the tube is the part that really needs to be filled in, more
Yeah,
so than the disc golf area.
That's the part that I thought was always really under consideration. I thought that the one in Beef Park was like, well, after we get this other done, then we do it. I just, unless there's some construction or something, I don't see a need to change that landscape in there. But that's just me.
So
I
is
can
adding
understand
the,
the need for it, then maybe.
yeah, is adding a tube to that section a big expense that we can't do right now?
That's something that Matt and Jeff need to work at. That's, I know Charlie checked it out before, how much tubes are cost. These are the big, I think they're 5-foot concrete sections of tubes, you know.
Right.
See, what I always understood was the reason for getting that other part filled up was for the fair board for a lot of reasons, because they wanted
Yes.
to be able to put more camper in, which is revenue, which makes sense. But filling it in on the other side, you're not going to get more campers or anything over there, I don't think.
No, I don't
Jesus.
think we need to fill it in on the disc golf side that you're saying, Sean, either, but I do think that other section needs
Oh, I
to be.
agree. That other side is unused gully that
Yeah,
has
it's
always been
nice.
forested, and it's worthwhile to get that filled in.
Yeah, so a lot of things, a lot of discussion down the park. I got one thing to bring across, Matt. We were talking about the budget, probably need to get in by June to the council. What about when last year when we did programming, we asked and sought anybody interested. Is there a time frame for submitting any? And is there any expectations of money for any programming? If somebody come up with something to submit right now.
Well, I'm not 100% familiar with each line of the budget at the moment. There is money generally in community promotions in the general fund if something comes up that that we want to do. But I think as it comes up, we can reconsider it because the budget it's not a concrete set in stone thing, and it can change over time
Okay.
if it needs to. So
All right.
if
Yeah,
we don't
Joe?
have anything to think of
Mhm.
now, we can always come back, but
All right, I understand what you're saying. Go ahead, Joe.
We talked about, Sean talked about programming and stuff. I've been throwing out some comments about, I remember when we had a director, a Parks and Rec director to run programs and stuff. But coming up, I don't know if you know about the farmer's market. They would need somebody part-time to run that.
Yes,
And if we could work into somebody that would run the parks and programs and also bring in for economic development, work with businesses, you know. Yeah, either,
Yeah.
it depends what type of title you would put on the person, or call him an assistant city manager, but we need somebody to,
I
on
got you.
staff, to push some of these programs.
Right.
And I
Great.
know farmers market that's a requirement there, to have somebody, and we could
Who
work
do-
into a person to a
Right.
full-time position or something.
Matt,
That's what I'm talking
who's
with.
is there a committee that does the farmers market? I mean, how often are they discussing planning for
That's,
that?
that's the
understanding,
DDA's responsibility.
yeah, the DDA is kind of taking that over, and talking to Mike Bauerschmidt about it, they haven't really established that organization back up yet. So they're going to have to do some organizational stuff, get somebody on board, and I think they were considering putting together a steering committee or some sort of farmers market committee to do that work. But I think that's
Okay.
something that's in the works. They're building the building now, and then they're gonna, while that's taking place, put together the organizational piece of that.
Okay, so there's a more or less an agreement that committee's taking over or managing those operations under the farmers market. Is that expectations of the downtown development? Correct.
I think it's turned out that way. Yeah, correct me if
Okay.
I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor,
All
but
right.
it's kind of turned out that way.
So is there any formal, any of the council members or anybody meeting monthly to talk to them about that, or is it no? Or
No, I think Mr. Mayor's just talking about his proposal to add someone onto the staff
Okay.
at some point.
all right. Well, I think it's a great idea, Joe. Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do too.
The last Parks and Rec person we had, Dale, was part-time Parks and Rec, and then he was part-time community development, as I recall.
Yeah.
That was about 8 or 9 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can I just say one more thing? So we kind of skipped over that whole soil thing, but I hate to see us drag the soil away and then have to pay for it. So if there's some way that we can use that soil and put it somewhere to be of some good, I mean, don't you agree with that, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any more discussion tonight on anything? All righty. So otherwise, I think that we just decided that June 17th was the next Park and Rec. I'm going to get a hold of the dog committee. Matt, go ahead and add in.
Yeah, just to update, the executive order for electronic meetings expires on June 30th. So the next meeting would need to be a Zoom meeting as well.
Okay.
A June meeting, yes, correct. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's. I guess we're going to go ahead and adjourn for tonight, everybody. Thank you. Okay, and I'll get a hold of you. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Leroy.
Anybody wants to play trivia? I'm hosting a Zoom trivia meeting
Oh,
after this one to replace the golf course, because I missed the golf course Wednesday trivia.
Did you
You're
guys do a
becoming a Zoom
motion
junkie,
to adjourn?
yeah, we need a motion to adjourn.
So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second, anybody?
I'll second it.
And it's seconded right there. And all in favor? We are adjourned.
Yeah.
You want to
Yay.
go through it, Mary? You can. Otherwise, I say it's adjourned. You want to roll call the adjournment?
Do we need
No?
that, Matt?
Okay.
Do we
Matt,
have to, Matt?
I mean, technically, yeah, but it,
Okay.
technically, yeah. Let's try
Yeah.
it, Mary. We're gonna roll call the adjournment. Here we go.
Jill,
Yes.
Tanya,
Yes.
Sue Ellen,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Leroy,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
All right. So
Okay.
all of those members have voted to adjourn, and any opposed to adjournment want to sit here and gab some more? No. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
See y'all in
Bye.
June.
Bye, Sean.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. Very good.
How do we do that?